Ed Daube, the emotions doctor, and I've been asked to participate in the Mind Matter Conference and address issues related to emotions. I need to say that while I'm the emotions doctor now, I didn't learn to deal with emotions until I was an adult. When I was a child, there was no abuse in my family, but emotions were not dealt with. There was a lot of anger, and my parents were old school, if you will, and just didn't deal with it and didn't teach me how to deal with it. So what I did is I went inside my head. In fact, it was interesting when I was going through my internship as a psychologist, I did a segment with an alcoholic treatment program in San Francisco. I never had a problem with alcohol and I never had a problem with drugs, but I was able to sit in as what was called at the time a participant observer, which I thought would have been a piece of cake. I was really wrong. It took those folks in that group, all of whom had challenges with alcohol or drugs, 6 months to show me that I had built up emotional walls that I wouldn't let anybody in and I wouldn't let me out. So the fact of the matter is, what they called me was a non-drinking alcoholic because I used my books to cover over my feelings. I thought when I got out of that internship and started working with the California Youth Authority, where I was dealing with young women, all of whom had committed serious crimes in California, and all of whom had serious challenges with their emotions. Now, what they did with their emotions is they either acted out by hurting others or hurting themselves. Many were suicidal. And I found that my task was to help them and do therapy with them, but I just didn't have the concepts or the words to do it. So I developed the emotions as tools model to help these young women, and I trained staff as well, to help these young women learn what emotions were and how to deal with them. Many of the people who go to the Vigya.io site, as I'm looking at their posts, have some real challenges with emotions. You guys are dealing with sadness. You guys are dealing with depression. You guys are dealing with anger. So let me see if I can give you some guidelines here to help you understand what's going on. Emotions are simply tools. Now, I understand that may be a difficult concept to understand, but when you think you use tools all the time. You have your cell phone, which is a tool. If you live in a house where there's a smoke detector, that's a tool. If you have a TV or if you use a TV remote, it's a tool. You learn how to use it. If you have a computer or a tablet, you learn how to use that. If you want it to do something you don't know how to make it do, what do? You ask somebody else or you figure it out. You just experiment with it. When I have problems with my TV remote or whatever, I often call on my kids, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, as I was saying, emotions are just tools. So here's what's happening. All of us, all people, are constantly scanning our environment for threat. We've had these emotions since we lived in caves, and we're primed to look for threat. Now, back then, by the way, every threat would kill us. It was either a dinosaur or whatever it happened to be. Now, most of the threats are psychological. They may feel to us like they're going to kill us, but very often they're not. So what happens? You're scanning your environment and you perceive a threat. A threat to your well-being, a threat being this isn't the way things should be, a threat being, this really hurts, this really sucks. All of those are psychological threats. So when you perceive a threat, your mind automatically sets you into fight or flight, and you're ready. The emotion that you feel tells you what the threat is that you're looking at, and I'll get to that in just a minute. At the same time, now that we've evolved past being in caves, another part of our brain sets us up to evaluate what the threat actually is, and that's where you can get control over your life. I'm not saying you control your emotions. That's really difficult to do, and by the way, not necessary. But what I am saying is, the part of your brain that allows you to take a look and say, what's actually going on in my life? That's where you get control over your life. So let's look at specific emotions, because each emotion has a message. The message of anger is that you perceive a threat, that if you get angry enough and feel powerful enough, you can throw enough force at it and you can overpower it and eliminate it. Anger prepares you for war. The message of anxiety is a future-based emotion, which says, There may be a threat out there, and that threat may kill me. This is the emotion that says, "Oh, what's going? And I don't know what's going to happen in the future, and it looks so bad to me, and I don't think I can handle it." And you might not be able to, but on the other hand, it might not be as bad as you perceive it to be. That being said, the emotion of sadness says, I've lost something. I've lost a person. I've lost a family member. I've lost an opportunity. I've lost the ability to control my life. That's more depression, which we'll get to here next. But sadness causes you to want to withdraw. Now, the emotion of depression, which leads you to want to end your life. The emotion of depression, the message is, I feel hopeless, I feel helpless, or I feel worthless. The young women I worked with felt depression a lot, and it was my job to help them understand that while what they saw as being helpless, hopeless, and worthless, when you really took a look at it, they weren't. And let me kind of illustrate for you with depression, because this will help you understand how people who want to help you are saying, oh, you'll just get over it. Here's an example. When you're depressed, okay, it's like having your hands up in your eyes. You can see what's directly in front of you, but you can't see what's over here. What's directly in front of you says, this really sucks. I want to end my life. Somebody else comes along and they're looking over here and they're saying, well, you know, he does have potential, or she does have some potential. She's really trying. But when they tell you that, you can't see it, so you think they don't understand. So let me give you another example. You've all put on sunglasses, and they're green, they're gray, they're whatever color they are. And you look through the sunglasses and you know that the world is not green, gray, or whatever. When you are depressed or you're angry, all you see is the green world. It doesn't occur to you immediately that there may be another way to look at it. So having said that, now let's take a look at what your options are. You're feeling angry. You're pissed off. And you may have a very good reason to be pissed off. And by the way, I need to say that whatever your feelings are, you're entitled to those feelings. And those feelings are real for you. You don't want to try and control those feelings. You don't want to try and ignore them. You don't want to try and suppress them or put them down inside of you. It never works. However, what you can do is you can ask somebody else outside of you. And that, by the way, is what the VIO site does. It enables you to get feedback from somebody else. So you ask somebody else, hey, you know, I'm really pissed off. Am I seeing it the right way? Or, you know, this life now really sucks. Is there something that I'm missing here? Is there something in my life that I'm missing? And what I would often say with the young women I was working with, I would say to them, well, why'd you come to therapy? And they said, well, because I have to, I'm forced to. And I would say, no, you could stay in your room and stay in bed and not do anything. And I would say, you chose to come to therapy. Therefore, you're not helpless. And if you're not helpless, no matter how it feels to you, if you're not helpless, you're not hopeless. And if you're not hopeless, you're also not worthless. So if you've put a message on the VIA site, or if you've ever reached out to somebody, you are taking initiative. And what that means is that you're not helpless. It doesn't mean you can solve all your own problems, because very often you can't, but you're not helpless and you're not hopeless. And the only way you're often going to find out, remember, you got to ask somebody else, what's out here? What am I not seeing? And then take a look at the information they give you and evaluate it. Does this make sense to me? I don't know if I can agree with it, but does it make sense? And if it does, then you can begin to act on it. So let's take a look at anger, because I see people who have challenges with anger. Anger is a very strong and powerful emotion. And when you feel angry, it feels to you like the anger's in control. In fact, it's not. So what you do with anger is you say, look, I'm angry right now. And then you say, what's going on? What am I dealing with? Am I really being threatened here? And if I am, then you need to take action. Or am I not seeing things the right way? Is there something else that's going on? When that person said to me that they disagreed with me, were they simply saying they see things differently than I do? What else may be going on? And when you do that, now you can get a handle on your anger. Sadness now is another emotion. You want to withdraw. You've lost something. With sadness, what you often need to do is back off and give yourself some time to not to experience your emotion and let your understanding and your feeling say, what have I lost here? I've lost something important to me. But does that mean I can't work to get it back? And that's where your control of your life comes back in. The answer often is yes, there are things you can do. And when you do those things, now your sadness will begin to lessen and begin to go away. And now you can make some plans for how you can get where you want to go, or allow others to help you get where you want to go. Now, I've been asked to give an exercise that you can do. And the exercise that I'm going to suggest to you is I've suggested to a number of different people, and this is what it is. Very often, you are much better at giving advice to others than you are to yourself. And the reason for that, by the way, is that when you're dealing with other people's problems, they're not yours. So you can be what's called objective. You can see things for the way they are. In them, by the way, not in you. So here's what you do. You take out a piece of paper and you write on that paper, or if you want to do it on a computer or your cell phone, that's okay too. You take out a piece of paper and you ask yourself the question, so-and-so came to me, Mary came to me and said, and describe to you the exact issues that you're dealing with. And you write those issues down. And then you say, what advice would I give to Mary? And then you write what you would say to Mary. And do it in detail, by the way. You're the only one who's going to see this. Do it in detail. Write it down and then put it away. Put it in a drawer somewhere, whatever, and leave it for a week. And then come back to it in a couple of weeks, one or two, and then read it and then follow your own advice. This is how you can help yourself get past the emotions that you're struggling with. I hope this works for you. If you work it, it will help you. I will also say to you, I have a blog. It's called theemotionsdoctor.com. And on that blog, I have over 100 entries dealing with all different kinds of emotions. So you can go to that blog and you can pull up a post that will cover the issue that you are interested in. Here's how you do that. I have an index tab in the upper right-hand corner of the homepage. Go there, tap on that. That'll take you to a PDF. You can pull up the PDF and it'll give you access to all of my blog entries by category, title, and date. You can then go over to the archives and you can pull up the article that you're interested in. That being said, I hope this has been helpful. You can learn to deal with your emotions as tools, and I wish you all the luck in doing that.